Good Tuesday morning, East Tennessee. My name is David Alders, Chief Meteorologist of Captain Accurate Weather, coming to you by way of the Captain Accurate Weather Command Center. Well, on behalf of Weigel's Fuel and Food that's fast, fresh, and friendly, here's your East Tennessee weather update. But first, I got to talk about the eggnog. You know, it's back and it's the holiday season. If you haven't picked up a half gallon or a pint by now, maybe you're on your second or third like I am, the eggnog goes fast in the Aldrich household. It is Tennessee's favorite, back for just a limited time. It is Tennessee's favorite. If you haven't checked it out, maybe you're new to town and you just want to try the best eggnog in town, go to a Weigel's near you. Pick up a couple of bottles, why don't you? It's just better when it's fresh, better when it's from farm to store in 24, and just better when it's with Tennessee cows. Love Weigel's eggnog, and of course, so many good things to get there. While you're there, pick up some coffee, maybe fill up the tank, all that you need to do at a Weigel's. By the way, there are some concerns this morning. I'm talking about the temperature and the fog. Not a good combination, because when you look at the temperatures right now, it's 27 in Knoxville. Now, last I checked, that's below freezing, right? That's 5 degrees below freezing, and we've been as low as, I believe, 26. Oak Ridge is currently 26, and Oak Ridge has me a bit concerned simply because of the fact that we have some dense fog. Last I checked, yeah, it's pretty dense, showing zero visibility in Oak Ridge. So if you're in Anderson County or anywhere near Anderson County, I mean, it's poor in Rockwood as well, but the fog would be freezing fog, which means you may need to apply some extra bug juice, the windshield wiper fluid, just to stay clear on your windshield. So be extra careful. Now, the 10 that's plastered there in front of Knoxville, that's more representative of McGee-Tyson, which we all know is south of the city. So if you're in the central part of Knox County, points west, there could be some slowdowns. Please be extra careful. I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook, but if you have any doubt, it's 27 right now in Morristown. It's 23 in Jacksboro. Are you kidding me? That's cold enough to see your breath and do some scraping with the frost this morning. A little frosty cold to get you started here on a Tuesday morning. You got to love it or hate it, but that's where we are. It's 26 in Rockwood, 23 in Athens. Our friends in Crossville, Cumberland County, checking in at 22 degrees. That's cold, but thankfully, or maybe not thankfully if you're on Team Snow, you would hope that maybe if there were precipitation nearby, it would be snowing, but it's not. It's not snowing. In fact, it's dry all across the state, but you can find some snow up across Lake Superior, the northern Great Lakes, and into Canada, where they're in fact dealing with more snow at this particular time. If you're on the call, I want to say good morning to you. It is 6:42. I like to do this Tuesday through Friday mornings from about 6:40 to 7 live, but you can watch this anytime in the morning or afternoon. But if you're on YouTube, say hi to me. I'm over here, popping over here onto Facebook if you have a comment. Would love to be able to answer any questions that you might have, so let me know. I see quite a few of you on here. Michelle Greenhuppard says good morning. Good morning, Michelle. Are you ready for Tuesday? Are you ready for some frost and some scraping on the windshield? Now, if your car's been in the garage, then you've been benefiting from that. But for some of us, we got to do some scraping, I'm sure, to get you out the door. Lana Johnson says, good morning, everyone. Look, chilly in Kodak. She's frosty, 22. 22. You're cold in Kodak, but she's got the hot Weigel's coffee. Love it. Thank you, Lana. Ed says, good morning. Who ordered this cold? I think Team Snow did, Ed, but they're hoping they would match or marry with the moisture, right? You get the moisture, you get the cold air. If you put it together, it can be something magical before Christmas. Some would hope. And Fred says, Burr, good morning, David. He needs some Weigel's coffee. Thank you, Fred, for that. Judy Thompson says, good morning. And if you're on YouTube, come on, be my first comment. You can be my first comment. I see maybe, oh, I think I see Steve hiding there. Oh, there it is. Steve Stone says, good morning. He's got his happy face. And Jay is speaking Spanish to me. I don't speak Spanish, but I can maybe interpolate a little bit of the fact that he's happy to be here, as I am. So let's go back to the radar. If you're looking for snow, look no further than the Great Lakes, because that's where it's going to be for much of today. It is quiet. Shh, it's quiet across the southeast. But that could change later this weekend with another storm system that could be a southern slider. We'll have to wait and see about that. But look at this. Temperatures right now, as I mentioned, are the story, along with the fog. 19 is a Jonesville temperature. Would you want to be in Jonesville right now? Some of you say, yeah, I'll take it. 23 in Oneida, Scott County. Way to represent there. Newport, 23. Maryville, about 24 degrees. 23 in Madisonville, Tellico Plain. So a very cold morning. There's not much wind. Because naturally, when it's cold, well, how bad does it feel? Well, if it says 0 by your town, or a 1, which is hardly any wind at all, there's probably not much of a wind chill. But where there's a prevailing wind, it could feel like it's 21 in Morristown, may feel like 21 right now in Jamestown. But I just want to reiterate, if you're just joining me here, it's 6:44. My biggest concern is the patches of dense fog in Oak Ridge, Anderson County, because the temperatures are freezing. And freezing fog, depending on how thick it can be, it can stick on a windshield pretty quickly with those little droplets and can make it a little slippery. So make sure you are careful this morning. 24-hour temperature change. We're actually 11 degrees colder now in Campbell County than we were this time yesterday. It's 9 degrees colder at McGee-Tyson and 14 degrees colder in Sevierville, just to give you some perspective. I always like to put perspective. Now, these are current readings. Take a look if you're traveling today. 28 currently in Nashville and Chattanooga. It's 21 Johnson City. If you're headed south toward Atlanta, not all that hot Atlanta, it's 36 and 39 in Memphis, 25 Jackson, Tennessee, versus 30 in Jackson, Kentucky. Now, we're going to find lots of blue sky today. And then this afternoon, some high, thin cirrus clouds. And then tonight, the high clouds will continue to gather. So it's going to be one of those days where we're lucky to get into the lower 50s. Some might make it to 53, like Knoxville. But many of us will struggle to get out of the upper 40s in the plateau. So there's hardly any clouds now, but they'll stream in here later in the let's say middle of the afternoon, say 2 or 3. So with the sun coming up at 7:36, oh man, I got to wait till 7:36. Yeah, you have to wait. I have no control over that. Short days are here, my friend. Sun sets at 5:23. And just if you're curious, come back on camera. I have some notes, because you know, if you've watched me any length of time, you know I'm a note taker. We hit 45 yesterday, as expected. Captain Accurate's expected 45. We got 45 yesterday. That was cold. But today, about 53. So we're making some headway. We're making some progress, right? We're going to actually be warmer today, in quotation marks, but not right now. That's a hard sell. Very hard sell because it's so cold right now. 3 degrees was the Knoxville temperature on this date in 1962. So the record low this morning is 3. So be thankful you aren't around in 1962. Well, maybe you were, but might not remember that here for the 12th of December. And of course, the sun is going down at 5:23. Oh, and I'm going to talk about the rain deficit. We're going to talk about that coming up in a second. Steve Stone says, good morning on YouTube. Popping back over here to Facebook. What kind of comments? Ooh, Linda Rice. I want to say good morning to Linda Rice. She says, have a great day. Thank you, Linda. I do hope you have a blessed day. And Brenda Hatcher Langford says, good morning from a cold and frosty Morristown with a smiley face. And Jimbo says, good morning, buddy. Good to have you. And Tim Kirby, good morning, David. Looks like Christmas may be mild. Of course, that could change. You know, it's like this. You know, if you take pictures of the ocean waves at the beach, you know, it's like it's a snapshot in time. But you know, if you've been to the beach, it's in fluid, it's always moving, and so these things can change. And typically, we're not going to know when the snow's really piling up, probably within 3 days of any event this winter. That's my prediction. My premium members have heard me say that. It's going to take within 3 days before confidence goes up. You're not going to see it 12 days in advance, although we can see recognitions and patterns, but you're not going to know for sure till things change, usually within 3 days. So make note of that. Brenda says, good morning, Dennis Hatcher. Good morning. He's 27. A cold 27, Dennis says, in Dandridge. Glad to have Dennis here. By the way, if you haven't picked up a bottle of the eggnog, it's back at Weigel's. Did I tell you it's one of my favorite things about Christmas is the food and the drink? And you know what? What's wonderful is the eggnog is back only for a limited time. So there's only a couple more weeks, I would imagine, where you can pick up a bottle of Weigel's eggnog. You might want to stock up. It's back. Tennessee's favorite eggnog. Pick up a pint. Pick up a half gallon. That's what I did. That's what's still in the refrigerator, and it's almost gone. I'll have to pick up another bottle or two before the holiday is here. It's just better when it's fresh, farm to store. In 24, it's just better when it's with Tennessee cows. All right, let's get back to the weather, right? Let's get back to the sunrise, sunset time. There, it's on your screen. I want to get you to the bus stop. And I'm really concerned about Oak Ridge this morning because you've got some fog. Temperature in Oak Ridge is 26. It's freezing fog. And you might say, well, that's not bad. But depending on how dense it is and visibility is next to 0, it could be a little slippery on the windshield. So make sure you are aware of that. We'll go from 27 for at least maybe getting out the door in the next few minutes, 34 by 10. But we should be picking up our kids, say between 2 and 3:30. Around 50 degrees. I expect 53 to be the finishing point. Here are my high temperatures today. When's that occur? Usually between 3:30 and 4. 3:30 and 4. And yesterday, I believe, our 45 occurred just after 4 p.m. So if you're timing it out, 4 o'clock, warmest part of the day. 51 in Sevierville is what I expect today. 50 in Crossville, Cumberland County. I don't expect you to get much higher than 53 in La Follette. and about 55 in Athens. So probably one of the warmer spots would be the Southern Valley, where mid-50s would be more common. I want to bring you up to speed on the moisture deficit. We've had not one, not two, but could be this weekend 3. You didn't say 3 soggy weekends. Well, Sunday this weekend, because our next chance of rain is this Sunday. So we had rain last weekend. We had rain the weekend before. And if you were curious, we are now, because I'm a note taker, I'll take this off full. You can see the moisture deficit is not a problem over the last 30 days. We've had a lot of rain. How much rain? Well, that's what I can give you. And I can tell you this. We're about 2.5 inches below normal for the year. 2.58 to be precise. And I'm using McGee-Tyson airport records. 2.58 inches below normal for the year. So we're chipping away at our drought conditions, which have been persisting since September. We've now had 4.79 inches of rain for the month. Now that may be a little hard to grasp, so I thought I'd show it to you in graphical form. But you can see where some areas in the state have had a lot of rain where there's no color. Chattanooga, Knoxville, the last couple weekends, where they still could use some rain. And green represents about 1 to 2 inches in Memphis and maybe back toward Nashville. But 5 inches in December, as you'll note, is the second soggiest month on average. Where are you getting that number? Well, look at the average years. 1991 to 2020 is what we use in the weather community as the normal. It's a 30-year average. Well, July with 5.25 is the granddaddy of them all because we get these gully washers in summertime. So July typically can yield more rain. But December is a pretty soggy month, whether it be rain or snow. On average, this is the second soggiest month of the year. And we've already had now 46.25 inches for the year. Last year at this time, we had 51.92, so we almost had a year's worth by the 12th of December. So we had an above average year in 2022. But now it's 4.79. So look at the white arrow number, 4.79. We're almost to a month's worth, and it's not even the middle of the month yet. So we're going to have an above average December. Hopefully we'll turn the tide, no pun intended, because September, October, November were so dry relative to the normal. Headline, let's talk about that. 6:52, mostly sunny today with more high clouds tomorrow and just sunshiny skies. I'm talking wall-to-wall sunshine on Thursday. Thursday looks great. High temperatures Thursday about 55, and tomorrow should be around 55 as well. Let's get you out the future cast. Let's pull out the 5,000-foot temperatures. Now this is important. As Tim might have noted, he's taking a look down the road. I'll tell you what, some of the long-range models show the coldest air in purple. That's up near Lake Superior. It's going to kind of swing by us this go-around. As you can see, it's sliding up toward Lake Superior, heads toward Montreal, and eventually the state of Maine by 5 o'clock tomorrow. But it'll come around much like waves do at the beach. They'll pass by, another wave will come in, and then we'll see some colder air lock and reload through the middle of the month. And maybe, just maybe, a little southern slider comes up over the weekend, Sunday to Monday. You can see a little bit of blue there west of Jacksonville, Florida. There'll be a low that comes up from the south and could provide some heavy rains for the Carolinas, but maybe we get some good snows, maybe even some Smokies get some good snows before long. Right now it's 27 degrees at the airport. It doesn't feel like anything. It feels like 27 because there's no wind. Relative humidity, 89%. We have some dense patches of freezing fog in Oak Ridge and throughout Anderson County, just as an example. So I put frost and freezing fog early. You will have to scrape if your car's been outside, sadly, but mostly sunny. High temperature around 53 degrees. If you're on the call, if I want to say hi to you, pop it back up over to YouTube real quick. If you're on YouTube, say hi. John, Han Solo Rider says Weigel's eggnog is the best. Isn't it, though? I'm a fan of it. I was a fan of it before I started doing these things on Tuesday mornings, but Tuesday is just one special day for me to spotlight some of the cool things that Weigel's does, because they're serving the community all the time. All the time. Steve says, good morning, and I got a Spanish note, which I'll need a translation from Jay. Jay's on here. I think he wants me to know he's speaking Spanish. I love it. Anyway, Wanda Poe says, it's so cold this morning in Newport. Where's the snow? It seems to be up near Lake Superior. And I saw some. Did you see my pictures? I was driving through the Smokies yesterday. I captured some great pictures of some snow on the hilltops. By the way, Janet Potts says, good morning from a cold Talbot, 25 degrees. She just finished scraping the windshield. Brr. I'm getting cold just thinking about that, Janet. Maybe I guess what we all need is maybe some hot coffee from Weigel's. That'd be another thing. But that's all. I'm digressing. Let's get back to the Valley Planner. If you're going to maybe venture outside, I mean, you don't want to feel the real cold air, I suspect you'll wait till about, say, let's say noon. Noontime, it's already in the 40s. because we'll be around 44. And by about, say, 2 o'clock, we'll be around 50. And I'd say between 3 and 4, we're in the lower 50s, if not mid, 53 by the end of the afternoon. So that's the way things are shaping up, and hopefully you'll be ready for the day ahead. Now, Storm Prediction Center, this became a more heightened awareness since we had all those tornadoes in Nashville over the weekend, and thankfully that's not going to be an issue today. Only green areas today between New Mexico and Texas would be general thunderstorms. So that's at least a better sign that things are calming down for the moment. By the time we hit Wednesday, those thunderstorms, general variety as they may be, will expand in West Texas and expand across much of New Mexico itself. But meanwhile, maybe a few down in Florida. Severe weather risk for us, obviously not a factor. And on Thursday, it stays down there and maybe far southern tip of, say, Florida, not far from Miami, where there may be some isolated thunderstorms there as well. So that takes us through Thursday. So Thursday is just going to be a glorious day over here. It is 6:55. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes. Big bubble, no trouble. Lots of sunshine this morning. But as this high slides to the east, you'll notice by noontime it's over Charlotte. We're going to open the door for some of those high, thin cirrus clouds. I'm talking 30,000 feet. Is that how high it is? In this case, these will be running about 30,000 feet. Now, they make mostly sunny. Doesn't take out the sun. Barely filters it. But you'll notice them more in the afternoon than you do in the morning because it'll be blue sky like we experienced much of yesterday. Meanwhile, we go into tonight, more high clouds as that weak front to the north passes by. Tomorrow, I'm expecting hazy sun, high clouds, highs around 55. And Thursday, it's just wall-to-wall sunshine. It's this big area of big bubble, no trouble. Parks itself between St. Louis and Bowling Green. Friday, pretty much the same before we start to see more clouds advance for the weekend. Futurecast looks like this. We're going from 26 roughly now to about, say, 31 at 9:30, and then by noontime. Many of us will be in the lower to mid 40s. Should be around 48. Jamestown by noontime today with a southwest wind that's going to take up about 3 to 8 miles per hour today. But here's my finishing point, like a drum roll play. We'll be in the upper 40s for the Plateau, Oneida, Crossville, about 53 for Knoxville, and about 55 for Maryville, potentially this afternoon. I suspect tonight with those high clouds increasing, it's going to be cold, but maybe just not as cold. Well, I'm modifying to about 30 for low temperature in Knoxville, about 29 Kingston. Morristown, you should be in the upper 20s tonight, as would about mid-20s for Middlesboro, Bell County in Kentucky. Now, the models don't always see those high, thin clouds at 30,000 feet very well, but there's a hint there that some of those high clouds will begin to come back into play during the day on Wednesday. High temperatures tomorrow in the mid-50s. So let me get to the forecast. It is 6:57. I'm finishing on time, and because of the spacing issue, I had to abbreviate freezing. Now, if you probably can instinctively know that that's what that signifies. It wasn't a typo. I just couldn't put the word freezing. It would have fallen off my little line there. But early frost, freezing fog for some, that's patchy. Otherwise, a mostly sunny day, southwest winds 3 to 8 miles per hour. Oh, and then look at that, 54 for High and Oak Ridge today after some of that patchy freezing fog. 52 in Oneida, 51 in Middlesboro. I got some other notes from you. Wanda's saying so sorry for the ones that lost their homes and the lives from the storms. Very tragic in what happened over the weekend. There's no doubt about that, Wanda. And she's saying it's very cold. She's wondering about the snow. And on YouTube, if you've got a comment, either in English or Spanish, I suppose. Everybody's welcome. We can see that John's on here saying Weigel's eggnog is the best, and a Steve Stone, good morning with a happy face. So glad to have Steve here as well. Good morning to you, sir. As we go to look at those numbers. Look at those numbers. We're in the low 50s. That's an improvement over yesterday's 45. I mean, we can't get a little warmer in the afternoon. Oh, it's going to be warmer. Normal high, by the way, is 52. So we're going to be pretty close to the average afternoon, but normal low is 33, and we're about 6 degrees below that, 7 degrees below that this morning. If you're heading to Nashville, about 56. If you're heading pretty much anywhere, you'll be generally in the 50s this afternoon. More high clouds for tonight, still cold, as Knoxville should dip down to about 30 degrees, 30 for the overnight low. If you're in Newport, about 29. If you're in Crossville, low temperature tonight, about 30. And I'm expecting a low temperature in Morristown, Talbot, White Pine, Russellville in the upper 20s, about 28 in Morristown and Hamlin County. All right, let's take a look at the Captain Accurate Weather Authority forecast. Nothing really shocking here, although what may be shocking is that we have more rain in the forecast for the next third weekend in a row. Boo hiss. Can't you change that? I cannot change that. In the spirit of transparency, I have no control over it. Oh, I thought you. No, I have no control over it. But I tell you what, I feel your pain because I've been there too. As I was live Saturday night after 11:30 for about an hour at night, as some of you know. But again, temperatures this weekend should be in the mid-50s, and you'll notice we've got some cold mornings, 30, 30, 28. There's about the next 4 mornings going to be in the upper 20s to near 30, and with afternoon highs in the mid-50s. I think Thursday will be one of those wall-to-wall sunshiny days, and Friday, much of that will be the same as the high clouds will stream back in here on Saturday, and then we'll bring in some rain. In fact, there's a trend that would put probably closer to a 60% chance of rain on Sunday. Of course, I will revisit that this afternoon, and if there are any changes needed, I will pass that along to you this afternoon on Facebook as well as YouTube tonight when I do another video this evening. Anyway, very thankful for you. By the way, if you haven't checked out the eggnog, it's back with Weigel's, back and yummy and rich and creamy. And you know what? You only have so many weeks left before the holiday, if I'm thinking of Christmas, and then followed up by New Year's. It doesn't tend to stick around much past the early part of New Year. Well, I'm just guessing. I'm remembering from the past, but it's back. Tennessee's favorite eggnog is around, and it's around at a Weigel's near you. Be sure to pick up a bottle, maybe 2 bottles. Stock up before it disappears. It's just better when it's fresh, farm to store in 24, and no one, I don't think anyone watching me right now, would argue that it's just better when it's with Tennessee cows, because we're in Tennessee.